All right, guys, shout out to everybody around the world. I'm just getting the thumbnail up and ready right now, and we should get it cracking right here, man. So we got a very interesting show with us right now, right? We're going to talk about why this idea that Kash Patel has going on with FBI agents doing a seminar with UFC fighters is a dumb idea. This is an absolutely stupid idea. And I'm gonna give examples as to why. Okay, because for one, this is just nothing but performative. Okay, and we're gonna get to that in a second, right? Shout outs to everybody that's in here right now. Let's read some of these comments before we get the show started. So let's start from the very top. Hate Love, shout out to you, my man. He says, Salam, brother. Did you read what I wrote on your community page? No, I did not. I hope you did not write anything, embarrassing or anything, weird or anything like that. But I hope that it's all positive. But on any regard, shout out to you, my man. I will take a look at it. And if it does somehow fall into that category, please, get rid of it, because I'm not going to have any tolerance for that. But in any regard, shout out to you on any regards. Respiratorum says, what's up, my man? Shout out to you, JD. I'm up early today. Hate Love says, Respiratory, welcome, brother. Hope you are having a great day. Thank you. I hope you're having a great day as well, especially since Ramadan is, sort of closing in right now, right? We're almost there, almost at the finish line. So, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. Obviously another Ramadan in the books. And of course, it's always a beautiful thing to get through Ramadan and, knowing that, you will see another Ramadan, inshallah. Respiratory says, same to you. I hope you're having a great day as well. Respiratory says, should we keep the Respiratorum or change it back to Republicanism? It depends. It depends what you would want your identity to be, right? Now, if you want your identity to be, something that is close to what your career is, which sounds like you are probably in the medical field in terms of respiratory, then yes, I would suggest to keep it like that. But if you want to be identified as a Republican in terms of what your, main political views are, then I guess you could go back to that. It all depends on what you are looking for. Hate Love says, I am now that I am here. If you do change it, it's a good question, though. I think it sits on it. See how you feel, as it is not just a name changing, right? It's also a statement, nothing wrong with it. Okay. Hate Love says, I'm not from USA, and this Dems and Republicans. Okay. Hate Love says, blue and red pill all confuses me. Thanks. Should I ask Kyrie? Well, there it is, right? Kind of gave you my opinion on that. Hope that helps. LOL, Mayor, are you from Canada or what? He says, yeah, I'm from the UK. Please like and subscribe. Shout out to you. Yes, and it's free. And you could also join my members only, by the way. I know Hate Love is a, members only, member of mine. Let's get some more members in there so we can do a members only stream where we talk about extremely controversial things that nobody else, in the YouTube space or in the public space would dare talk about. Right? So Hate Love says, no, bro, it was just to answer the question when you asked me to explain why I thought Trump is a war president. Okay, but if you think it's bad, I'll do. No, not at all. That's not bad at all. That's actually awesome. The Toxic Gameplay says, a Gypsy Crusader fighting now. Oh, okay. Who is that again? Remind me who that is. 13th Ninja Assassin. He says, hey, brother, you're a subscriber from the UAE, I believe, right? Yes, you are from the UAE. How is it going in the UAE, by the way? I would imagine it's, really tough times over there right now, because of the bombing that Iran is, is placing, upon everyone. But that right there is, I hope everything is all in good with you. And all right, so right here on the 12-minute mark, let's get the stream started. Okay, so obviously, as you guys know, Kash Patel has summoned the UFC to come and train FBI agents. I'm going to tell you that this is a very stupid idea. Number one, it's a seminar. You're not going to get away with learning anything with a seminar, right? A seminar is not going to change fundamentally how you're going to fight or how you're going to somehow, let's say, get better at fighting or somehow become efficient in hand-to-hand combat. Here's another thing about the FBI, right? The majority of them work behind a desk, right? I know that you see all the glitz and the glamours in YouTube, in the movies, in TV series with the FBI doing raids, tactical units, and things of that nature. So that right there is, I would say, about 20% of what the FBI does. The majority of the work that they do is behind a desk, behind a computer, analyzing, let's say, terroristic activities in the financial sectors of things. Okay, they analyze, let's say, files. They analyze videotapes. They analyze data on a constant basis, right? So one has to think, is this really going to affect the FBI in any kind of way? And I got to tell you, no. Okay, now look, I've told people this before, right? I've done seminars for gang members, okay? I've done seminars for sworn gang members, okay? Now, here's the thing about that, right? These are my homies, okay? These guys, I've known them, for quite a while. A lot of them were, let's say, sons of people that I've known, right? Aaron says, are you an FBI? No, no, I'm not. Do I look like an FBI agent to you? I mean, my beard and everything about me spells, not FBI, but no, I'm not. However, I did have experience in the military, and, that's about it. That's as far as my service to America goes, right? But other than that, I'm probably on the other side of the law when it comes to, the FBI, which is why I got to tell you, I honestly think, Jorge Masvidal is going to lose a lot of street credibility out of this. Jorge Masvidal has gone out of his way, to go and train FBI agents. Okay, 13th Ninja Assassin says, brother, you look Latino big time, even though I know you're not. I was surprised, to be honest. Yeah, man, I'm Arab like you. I mean, obviously, I'm part, Pacific Islander. That has something to do with it as well. So, let's see here. Aaron says, he is the most wanted on the FBI's list. Okay, well, thank you for that, Emily. I'm glad that you believe that, right? But, the fact remains I'm not. I will say, though, I have been investigated by the feds before, right? For reasons I'm not going to go into, right? You can, kind of imagine what it is. It could be anything to deal with gangs. It could be anything to deal with, well, all right, I'll tell you this, right? There was a guy in Sacramento back in 2012 that was living here who was an ISIS veteran. Okay, and that set off a lot of red flags, and he just happened to live in the same neighborhood. And yeah, so you would imagine that obviously, really got a lot of negative attention. Okay, but that's neither here or there, right? Number one, I have no problem with the FBI. I have no problem with law enforcement. By the end of the day, law enforcement, does what they need to do their job. Okay, they do their job. And, gangbangers, they do their job, right? What is a gangster's, motto? Their whole entire motto is, don't snitch, keep it G, back up your homies when you need to, get down for the get down. And that's really about it, right? That is the ethos of street gang members. Whereas, police, they also have their ethos as well, which is what? To protect and serve. So everybody does their job by the end of the day, right? And by the way, guys, just to let you know, on the chat, no problem with this person, right? I'm not going to mention this person's name. Doesn't seem to really, cause any problems right now, right? Other than, a few comments here and there. It's not too bad. It's not, a big deal. Everybody is welcome here no matter what, okay? For whatever reason, that person may have, some interest for the show. Maybe they like talking to you guys. Maybe they like talking to me. Maybe they just like interacting, or maybe they like the subject matter that I'm talking about. Either way, everybody is welcome here no matter what. And, we'll try to be better, right? We will try to be better human beings, because by the end of the day, it is Ramadan, and we are close to, we are close to, what do you call it? Eid. So, says, you're a lot calmer today. I like that. You're finally developing a thick skin. Okay, there you go, right? So that, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And also, I'm also glad that you are coming on to, a much more, kinder approach, right? Because, look, by the end of the day, let's be honest, right? I'm never going to meet you, right? Even though you may or may not live in the West Coast, I live in California. You may live in the other Western, parts of the West Coast, right? Whether that would be Oregon, Washington, or whatever. The chances of us meeting is not there. So there's no need to, create beef, to create animosity. And I'm sure as a person of faith like yourself, you understand that, there's no need for animosity or anger or anything like that. And by the end of the day, look, you got to understand, right? We're all in the space of content creation. I'm sure you are as well. As I've analyzed your page and analyzed what you're about, this is the reality of, of who you are. This is the reality of who I am. We are in the content creation space. So as a result of that, I think that we do things for entertainment. We do things to create a buzz, right? And yeah, and I think that that's the best way to really put it. 13th Ninja Assassin says, please look up a Speaker's Corner's debate. I hope it helps you have a true understanding of both sides. Oh, okay. Are you talking about the Republican and the Democrat side of things? If you are, let me know if that's what you are referring to. Okay, so back to the subject matter at hand that we talked about with the FBI, right? It's not a good idea, okay? Number one, it's only for performative reasons. It's only for Kash Patel to sort of live out his fantasy of being around UFC fighters. Now, look, Kash Patel is in a very privileged position to be a director of the FBI. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Kash Patel has never had military experience. He was never in the Marine Corps, never in the Army Rangers or Navy SEALs, or even in the Navy or in the Air Force or anything like that. But that right there, okay, kind of spells a bit of some red flags, right? You see, he wasn't even a law enforcement official, right? Was never a cop, was never in the DEA, was never in ATF or Homeland Security or anything like that, right? Now, he was a lawyer, and Trump hired him. Not only that, he was also a podcaster, a right-wing podcaster, and all of a sudden he gets plunged into this job of being the head of the FBI. Well, now he feels like a kid in a candy store. If you notice, he flew his girlfriend or his wife-to-be, right, whatever, the relationship dynamics is there, to, I believe, the Oscars or whatever it is that she had going on. Please remind me what Kash Patel's girlfriend is and what she did and why he had to fly out there. But yeah, a lot of people were very upset at that because, obviously, he was using, taxpayers' money to get onto, a plane. So, that's quite interesting right there. He says, okay, I'm not giving you any attention you're looking for today. I'll just respond to Kai. Okay, fair enough. And guys, obviously, if one person inclines to peace, I think that it is also important that you must as well, right? And by the end of the day, it was great banter by the end of the day. And, and also understand, that this is a young person that's also trying to, make their waves into, the social media world, into the content creation world. You know what I mean? And yes, I don't think that this person is a bot, whatsoever. This person is actually a real person. So, let's also give that person a respect as a real person as well, right? So, Smith, shout out to you, by the way, okay? Because I know that's your last name, Smith. So shout out to you, Smith. 13th Ninja Assassin says Kash is actually G-A-Y. Wow, okay, he lives with a dude. And she is his handler, not his girlfriend. Is that right? Okay, those are really remarkable accusations there, 13th Ninja Assassin. Very remarkable, right? Yeah, that I would have never guessed that. Right now, I don't know how Indian families are with, people that are GAY, but I know if Kash Patel came from an Arab family, that would not fly. Okay, now I don't know how Indians or Hindus and Sikhs, sort of see that thing, but I would imagine, it would probably bring some level of shame, right? At least some level of shame to a certain degree. Republicanism says he is not a homo. Okay, well, I would like to know where 13th Ninja Assassin sort of, got this accusation from. Like, what was, yeah, what sort of led to this, right? What makes him that? Right? 13th Ninja Assassin says, yes, I used to visit speakers' corners all the time. First time was in 1997. Wow, okay. I wish if America had such a thing like a speaker's corner. Okay, very interesting. Hate Love says Kama Sutra is an Indian. They accept all types of. Okay, well that explains. Well, okay. Now that particular art that you're talking about, right? Would that not kind of sort of stem into the realm of, let's say heterosexuality, right? Now obviously that particular art that you speak of, Hate Love, seems to only apply in heterosexuality and not necessarily with, let's say, anything that deviates from that, right? Or I could be wrong. Maybe there is a liberal side to it. And also, you got to understand, right? White liberals are very much big into Indian culture, right? I had a guidance counselor in high school in Old Bridge, New Jersey, right? Shout out to Old Bridge, New Jersey. His name was Dr. Corso, right? And I remember, because remember, in high school, I was a very troubled kid, right? So I had my Marine recruiter come in here and talk to Dr. Corso, right? And my Marine recruiter thought, yeah, this guy's kind of weird. You know what I mean? He's got all this Indian stuff, going on. He's always in India, riding elephants and this and that. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I don't know if he's some kind of fag or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was my recruiter back in the days. He had like a southern accent. He was from Ohio, right? But he lived in the South because obviously he was attached to some aviation mechanics unit in Camp Lejeune, I believe. So Republicanism says Kash has been working on criminal justice spaces for his whole career. In any world, Kash couldn't be a DEI because the Republican Party is very much against DEI, and it would be quick to gotcha moments on the news. So I kind of disagree with that. I think that there is a certain level of DEIism, if that is even a word, right? But obviously ism you can kind of attach to anything. But yes, DEI hire is a possibility in the Republican Party. Let me tell you why, right? Because you got to understand, as much as we downgrade white liberals for, let's say, having these particular issues or particular stances on let's say given minorities positions that they necessarily wouldn't deserve, right? It doesn't mean that it does not mean that Republicans are exempt from this kind of behavior, right? The reason why this is, the Republicans are not exempt from this kind of behavior is because, let's be honest, right? There are Republicans out there that want to get in cool with black people, right? I mean, look at Nicki Minaj and and her love for Trump now, right? Also doing content with Erica Kirk and things of that nature, right? This is a direct motivation of trying to get the black vote, right? Kanye West, for example, visiting the White House in previous times. Even Kim Kardashian, which obviously she's of Armenian origin, but one can argue that she's really close with the black community for obvious reasons that what I mean. Republicanism says you saying DEI because he is South Asia. I would say so, yes. And also you got to understand, a lot of Indians are very much in high support of Donald Trump, right? There's a lot of Indians that are in the United States. And when they look at somebody like Kash Patel, right, they look at Kash Patel as like a beacon of hope, to the Indian community, because let's be honest about this, right? Indians do very great for themselves anywhere in the United States that you go. They own corner stores. Not only that, they own different types of businesses. A lot of them that I know of in Northern California own, let's say, you know, a lot of real estate, right? So these are very well accomplished people. Now, the thing is with Kash Patel, he sort of offers something a little bit different. Okay. Now, when I've met Marines that are of Indian descent, right? But very few of them, very few. Obviously, you see a lot of Latinos, you see a lot of blacks, you see a lot of whites, obviously, but not a lot of Indians in law enforcement or in the military. So Kash Patel, I believe, is sort of a symbol of that, right? A symbol of motivation to Indians as to say, hey, you know what? I could be something a little bit different. I don't have to be a doctor. I don't have to be an engineer. I don't have to be, you know, a 7-Eleven owner, right? Not to, you know, kind of divulge into, you know, pejorative stereotypes. But yes, you know, Kash Patel is exactly that. He sort of gives the Indian people a different outlook of different careers that you could get out there. Now, I would like to see a statistic of how many Indians have now interviewed or have tried to, let's say, you know, join the FBI as a result of Kash Patel, maybe Homeland Security, or maybe just your local law enforcement, you know, yeah, your local law enforcement, you know, police departments. Liston says they do great everywhere but India. You know what? That is a very good point, isn't it, Liston? Right? They do very good but India. You know who else is like that? Another group that is like that is the Nigerians. They are very much similar into that boat, right? The Nigerians are very much similar into that boat because, let's be honest, Nigerians, for the most part, they do great everywhere else around the world except for Nigeria. Now, what does Nigeria and India both have in common? What they both have in common is this. What they have in common is that both of their countries are effed up, okay? They are effed up. The streets are effed up. The government is effed up. They are both corrupt. And not only that, it results to not giving their people the right opportunity to prosper. So they go to the Western world. They become doctors, lawyers, engineers. Obviously, Kash Patel is a great example of that. He is a lawyer. He is a lawyer. He is a person that has now, TY says scammers. Okay, that, you know what? Which one? Are you talking Indians or Nigerians or both? I think there's also a scamming culture that comes with that. But I think that also comes with just, you know, coming from a very poor part of the world, I would imagine. Republicanism says there is no way in the world that Republicans or conservatives would hire just to have inclusivity due to race diversity, due to race or equality of race. All right, well, here's the thing, right? Kash Patel is, you know, was a lawyer, right? He was a DEA. Has Kash Patel ever fired a gun in his life? Has he ever fired a weapon or a firearm in his life for him to be in a position of the top law enforcement official in the United States? The answer is no. Now, you have to, look, I know that you're a staunch Republican. I know that you're a strong supporter of J.D. Vance, probably more of a strong supporter of J.D. Vance than you are of Donald Trump. And I think that says a lot about you because you're kind of looking into the future. Trump is old. He has one term left, you know, a couple of years left, and then we're off to the races with the new guy, and that's going to either be J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom, or who knows, maybe even Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson might just decide and wake up one day, you know what, maybe I need to get in there and be president. Who knows, right? But here's the thing, right? I know that you're in that world, and I know that it's hard for you to, you know, sort of go against certain narratives, but understand this, right? He's never fired a weapon in his life. Never fired a weapon in his life. And that makes me think, well, maybe he doesn't deserve to be the top law enforcement official in the land. The FBI, by the end of the day, is a gun culture, right? Mace. Oh, shout outs to Mace. He says, can you give me a shout out? Yes. Let's all give a shout outs to Mace1234 Gymnastics. Okay, I assume you run a gymnastics gym or something like that. Let me know what the basis is of that name. Shout outs to Mace1234 Gymnastics, or maybe you're a fan of Mace, the old school, Harlem rapper, perhaps. TYR says, doesn't he get training for that? Well, here's the thing, right? Okay, maybe he does get training for that. Obviously going into becoming the director of the FBI, but he didn't have prior training to that. You see, a lot of the FBI agents, right, have military experience, right? They were either in the Marine Corps. Some of them were, either Delta Force or this and that, Navy SEALs, right? There's all types of FBI agents that have had several types of jobs in the military before, or other law enforcement, right? There were guys that, were former police officers, city police officers that applied for the FBI and, and transitioned from there, but they all had firearms training, right? A lawyer, I don't think has firearms training. Now, look, I've known a lot of lawyers, right, who go to the firing range, but it's not the same, right? It's not the same. They're doing that as a civilian. There's a difference between training and firearms as a civilian as opposed to being a law enforcement official or military personnel. Ethy says, hi, hello, how are you? Liddell, okay, Liddell. Ethy Liddell, okay, kind of like Chuck Liddell, says, hi, how are you? Let me know what part of the world you are from. Republicanism says, did President Trump in 2016 ever have a political career or military career? He is the first president in history to be elected president without being in any of those categories. Is he a DEI candidate? Well, here's the thing, right? Trump is a DEI candidate in terms of not by race, but by social class. Social class, right? Look, when in 2016 we were very much sort of wary about Donald Trump coming into the presidency because, well, you're right, he's not an experienced politician, but we like that, right? He came from a billionaire class, he came from an elite class of businessmen and entrepreneur. So in a way, he is kind of a DEI hire from the American people, in which the people that had voted him to do the job, right? Because before that, most Americans, they wanted somebody that was, a real politician. Now, if you notice in England, right, they will never have an Arnold Schwarzenegger as a governor. They will never have, let's say, Jason Statham, right? The idea of him becoming, a prime minister is absolutely ridiculous to the minds of, the Brits, because they have a little bit of a culture that is uniformed, obviously indicative of the fact that when you look at even their public schools, they all wear uniforms, right? I remember, right, I got some homies in the UK, right? When they show me pictures of them in their grade school, they're often in uniforms, right? Sort of like what Catholics, school students wear, right? And I'm like thinking, you went to a private school? You must be rich. And then they say to me, nah, bruv, there ain't no way I'm rich, bruv. You know what I mean? I came from the ends, bruv. You know what I mean? I really came from them roads, bruv. You know what I mean? I'm really, them road man. Yeah, I'm really a road man. Now, for those of you that don't understand what a road man is in the UK English slang, it is slang for, thug. It is slang for, you come from the hood. It is slang from, you come from that life, right? So, I was like really surprised. Wow, okay, so you come from the hood of the UK, you come from Brixton, you come from Birmingham, you come from Manchester, you know what I mean? You come from the Midlands, you come from, South London, name any hood in the UK, right? They came from that, but, they all have uniforms. So they're a very uniform culture, meaning that they will never hire or elect somebody like Jason Statham, Tom Hardy, or even Russell Brand, right? Name any famous British, superstar of any kind. It's just, it doesn't happen. That's not the kind of world that they live in. They're very uniformed. They are very structured. Whereas with Americans, we sort of have a culture that is a little bit more rogue, right? And that is indicative of, the revolutionary days, right? Everything that we did as Americans was rogue, right? The way that we approach politics, the way that we even approach warfare at the time, right? Back in those days, people would just load up their muskets and go straight at each other forward and this and that. Whereas, the Americans were the first ones to sort of starting fighting the British in flank positions, hiding positions, sniper positions, and in positions of hiding, using camouflage and things of that nature. So he says, Kyrie, I know exactly what you are saying. I just won't admit it. Okay, right. Okay, so Republicanism says in 2016, the primaries at the beginning, he was less than 3% in the polls, trailing people like Jeb Bush. Then throughout the primaries, he was able to win the nomination by a huge majority, beating Jeb as well. Yeah, and the fact that he sort of absolutely did a 50 Cent Eminem rap style battle rap style diss on him, which probably propelled him through that. He says he did this through his debates and political witnesses and smarts. Yes. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, yeah, so, all right, so that, El-Kheer says, I have a special ability of sensing evil since childhood. Whenever I see politicians or evil people, I feel pain, kind of like, I'm not going to read that part because, there's some racially derogatory term to that. And my friend, Nick, told me it was just psychological. Yeah, nice try, El-Kheer. I see what you were trying to do there, right? I'm not Michael Bisping, by the way, right? By the way, if you go to Michael Bisping's chat, he always falls for this for whatever reason, right? He constantly falls for this. Every time somebody says the knee and then grow, right? And then Nick, ER, right? He falls for it all the time, not me. I'm a little more savvy than that with young people. And who's Michael? Michael Bisping, the former 185-pound UFC champion, British guy who lives in Orange County. Yeah, former UFC champion. So yeah, what is that? $10. What is the $10 sign for? $10. Yeah, what is the $10 for? Smart guy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You're saying $10. Smart guy. What was your reason for saying $10? I mean, you could send a super chat and send me $10. That would be very much welcome, of course. But yeah, man. Shout outs to all you guys, man. Shout out to everybody. Let me know what part of the world you are from. El-Kheer. El-Kheer. Okay, that's quite an interesting name. Yeah. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. All right. So. Okay, so let's get to this topic subject at hand, right? With why it's a bad idea. Okay. All right, let's switch up the camera angle here a little bit. Okay, so why it's a bad idea. The reason why it's a bad idea, you guys have to understand, okay? Number one, you're doing a seminar, right? You're doing a seminar. It's a one-time seminar, okay? And a one-time seminar is not going to help. Also, you got to understand, there's some fighters here like Jorge Masvidal, who is, let's say, a person that has sort of, a street, persona to him, right? So as a result of that, I don't know if it's a good idea for a guy that has a street persona to, somehow, take up, this position, right? But yes, to answer your question, I am, yes. El-Kheer, the fact that you apologize, it goes a long way. Thank you. Yeah, there's no need to apologize for that. I don't think that's, quite a racist statement at all, really. Hold on a second here. All right, listen to this news clip right here real quick.
Just when you think it can't get any weirder, FBI director and sports buff Kash Patel is holding a 2-day event at the FBI Academy in Quantico, where UFC fighters will be training FBI agents. He calls this a historic opportunity for the FBI to be trained by the best athletes in the world. But that's not all. This June, the administration is also holding a UFC fighting event on the White House lawn. Yeah, yeah. So is this the best use of taxpayer dollars? No. Welcome to America.
It kind of feels like we're watching a fight every day when you look at the partisan divide in Congress. So if they're going to hit the lawn and just beat it out, I mean, maybe they'll get
they're not fighting each other.
No, I know, but that's the one I'm imagining.
That's the one I'd like to see.
I feel like this whole mission of Kash Patel's kind of reeks of that video gaming bro again. You know, like, we're going to bring the UFC and we're going to fight. And, like, the optics matter because the way they've been recruiting ICE agents, young ICE agents, is with video single shooter games. The way they're pitching all of these massive, serious military campaigns is with video games and, like, come join us. This is a fight or die.
Now, are they right? In a way, they are kind of right about this, if you think about it, right? There is a targeted effort that ICE has in order to, let's say, recruit men of video gaming generation, right? This is a reality of things, right? Abdul Rahim says, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Blessings and greetings. Ramadan Kareem, smash the like button. YNWA? YNWA? What does that mean? YNWA? Yeah, does that mean young, ninjas with attitude? I don't know. Ramadan Kareem, yes, El-Kheer, shout out to you. El-Kheer, I thought you said sorry for racism thing, but spelling Muslim wrong, I don't think is racist. We all hope you enjoyed the stream. Okay. Hate Love says, Lacko, thank you. Where are you from, if you don't mind asking? Hate Love says, Abdul, welcome back, brother. El-Kheer says, can't tell you where I am because I'm being racist, lol. Okay, well, there you go. All right, back to the View and what they say about this right here.
UFC on the White House lawn? Are you kidding me? Like,
isn't he supposed to be looking into the Epstein files?
Yes. Yeah.
So you guys have to understand the View is sort of, how do I say this? It's a liberal organization, right? They are a liberal company, right? This is just, what they do. This is who they are. This is just, yeah, they're a liberal company. They're obviously going to look at this in disdain and, and disgust, right? I mean, anything that, let's say, that the Republicans do, that's just what they do. It's a tit for tat game that they have going on, so yeah, they're going to look at it in disgust either way.
Yes, to me, he is one of the biggest clowns in this Trump circus, is this Kash Patel.
Was that before or after you saw him chug the beer with the Olympic hockey team?
We're being run by the most unserious people.
It's
unqualified.
I can handle unserious.
Yeah.
Unqualified really makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you're not qualified, I don't know why I should trust you.
Yeah.
The FAA,
It's almost like they're DEI hires.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Don't disrespect DEI like that.
Oh, wow. So, by the way, I got to tell you, I did not see this video before I titled this video, right? And they call it a DEI hire, okay? And by the way, I'm also not a liberal, so please, that is, I did not get any of these ideas from them. This is just something I thought of right now, like literally 40 minutes ago before I started the live stream.
I'm not disrespecting it.
He looks like a dude that was corny in high school, and he got this great job, and now he wants to be somebody. Look how crazy he looks.
Okay, now look, I think these are a bit of some pejorative insults that they're sort of throwing at Kash Patel. Look, I get it. You could question his qualification. You could question the fact of his motivation to try and do these things. But to go out of your way and literally call him, the geek in high school or this and that, now he thinks he's the cool guy. I think that's a little bit over the line and really unnecessary, right? Cowgirl Wyming says sleep paralysis demons. What does that mean exactly? What is sleep paralysis demons, and what is that in reference to? He says close, but neither. You can call me a Pakistani because it's close enough, but calling me Indian is like calling me subhuman. Wow. Okay, that's crazy there. Yeah, Kash Patel. Okay, he says, where are you from, boy? I am a boy. I mean, what are you calling boy? Okay, I know you don't mean that in any pejorative terms, but I'm from Sacramento, California, to be exact. So.
And why would they have? What do they have? And what are they called? UFC fighting. Now listen, I'm not against the UFC fighting, but you can't train nobody. The FBI has had great training since Edward Zimbalist Jr.
Okay, so here's the thing about this, right? Now, that part is the important part that I want to emphasize right there, okay? First and foremost, you cannot train FBI agents over 2 days. You're not going to learn a lot, okay? You have to be around these people on, on a daily basis. You have to train them on a daily basis. You have to be able to have, let's say, drastic change, right? Now, what does drastic change mean? Well, drastic change means this. Send to Dagestan 2 to 3 years and forget. You want to know why that phrase is popular, right? Why that phrase sticks? Because 2 to 3 years is literally what will change your whole entire physical apparatus into becoming an unarmed fighting machine, right? And then on top of that, you also got to understand the majority of FBI agents are not exactly out there, what do you call it? They're not exactly out there getting into hand-to-hand fight, situations all the time, right? That's not a reality. But that's, yeah. Again, this is all performative. This is all just for Kash Patel to build relationships with sports teams and sports companies that he likes, indicative of what he did in the Olympics, right? Obviously, he flew from here all the way to Italy to celebrate with the U.S. Hockey team. And yeah, for whatever reason, a lot of people really gave him a lot of flack for that. But
It's old alert. It's old reference. That's right. Look at the old people go, oh my God.
I think it goes to show you just how incompetent this administration is. I mean, you know what would have helped better defend this country is not gutting the FBI counterintelligence team tasked with tracking Iranian threats days before the U.S. struck Iran. That would have been
okay, so Arnell asked, how would Bruce Lee fare in the UFC? I think he would fare in a very limited fashion. Like, I think he would have a lot of advantages against strikers, right? I think, I think he would have a lot of advantages with strikers, but let's say if he was to fight, let's say a formidable 135er somewhere around his size, let's say a Henry Cejudo, Uriah Faber, Merab type of wrestler, I think that he would have problems, right? That's what I think. I think he would be exactly like Conor McGregor right now. I don't know if he has the same type of knockout power that Conor McGregor, but has very similar movements to Conor McGregor. And you see how limited Conor McGregor is in terms of how he fares with grapplers, right? Or people that are proficient in grappling, or people that have a high proficiency in being well-rounded in a little bit of everything. So, Arnell, I hope that answers your question, how Bruce Lee would fare in the UFC. Hate Love says, Arnell, hello. What a great question. I think Bruce Lee would be very constricted, in my opinion. Yes, my thoughts exactly. Lakehurst says, what so you think about UFOs? I think they're real. I think they are real to a certain extent, right? I think there's probably, a bit of a religious component to the jinns. Because there's a thing that we call the jinns in Islam, right? People that come from, an outer realm that come here to try and influence, or humans both positively and negatively. Right, for example, genie, right, in Aladdin, right, that is the key word from jinn, genie, right, so jinns are exactly that, right, they are, they are spirits from the outer realm. If you notice in Aladdin, what did the jinn do, right, he granted Aladdin, certain wishes and things of that nature, right, well, Jins are either here to help us or they're either here to harm us, depending on what their personality is or what their primary motivations are. So, I hope that answers your question on that one. So let's see here. Okay, so here's another clip with...
When the sawdust settles and the...
Yeah, so a lot of people are not feeling this whole entire, FBI thing with Kash Patel.
Is hungry to feel cool, to feel like he's one of the bros. That's why he traveled to Italy on our dime to hang out with the hockey players, and now he's got a new thing to check off of his Make-A-Wish bucket list. He wants to work out with...
So they're saying and calling this a Make-A-Wish bucket list, right? Now, look, I'm going to have to agree with them, right? As somebody who prides himself in understanding proficient hand-to-hand fighting combat techniques, even firearm techniques and things of that nature, right? I'm going to have to agree with them on that one, right? And that's not a liberal stance. That's not an anti-Republican stance, nor is it, an anti-MAGA stance in any kind of way. It's just the reality of things. I just don't think you're going to get enough training with, 2 to 3 days of hanging around UFC fighters. It's just not enough. There's just so much that goes into MMA training that I think many people sort of miss. And I think that is a huge problem that a lot of people just really don't understand, right? I think they're looking at this as a way of like, well, you know what? This is great for the boys to get together. You got Michael Chandler up in there. You got Jorge Masvidal, who, by the way, at this point is going to be labeled as a snitch from a lot of street dudes, right? Because, now you're training with the FBI. What kind of look does that give you, right? It's one thing to go to a combat gym and you happen to run across an off-duty cop, right? There's a saying that goes in boxing gyms, i.e. you can also throw MMA gyms into that. It is the only place where you will see criminals and cops sort of mingle with each other in the same place, right? Okay, if you happen to run across them and you're a street dude and there's an off-duty cop there, that is what it is. You guys are just patrons sort of training in the same facility. There's no problem in that. But to go out of your way as a street dude, as the so-called King of Miami, with Jorge Masvidal's persona, to go train with the FBI, you honestly look like a snitch, right? And it is not a good look for street dudes. Now, look, Michael Chandler, on the other hand, I can't necessarily blame him for doing this. If you look at Michael Chandler, he is like the most annoying looking white boy ever, who probably listens to Creed while he is like, pumping weight, pumping iron, hitting the bag, right? That's just the kind of personality he is. He is, the best way to put it is, a naive little white boy who, thinks he's, doing the right thing, but actually looks cringy when he tries to do, certain things like, I don't know, adopt kids that, don't look like him or something like that, right? You know what I mean? But that's really what it is by the end of the day, right? That's who he is. He is, a goody two-shoe, cringy, Creed listening type of white dude, Michael Chandler. So it's obvious that he's going to do that. Justin Gaethje doesn't really surprise me. Not a straight dude, right? Doesn't, claim to be from a gang. Doesn't claim to be part of that life, right? And obviously, this just kind of goes into his MO, right? But with somebody like Jorge Masvidal, it's not a good look. There's a reason why you don't see Nate Diaz doing it. There's a reason why you don't see Conor McGregor doing it. In fact, I've argued this point several times before, where I have said that, hey, look, Conor McGregor is far more gangster than Nate Diaz is off the cage, okay? Now, they're obviously both 1-1 with each other in terms of MMA records, okay? That's sport, right? But when we're talking about street, there is no doubt in my mind that Conor McGregor is far more street, far more gangster, and far more mafia affiliated than Nate Diaz ever will be, because Nate Diaz comes from Stockton, but yet he doesn't come from a gang, okay? And I've had experience living in Stockton, and I can tell you that anybody who's not from a gang in Stockton is either a weirdo, right? Meaning weirdo that you just stay in your house all day playing computer games, or you are the police, right? And that in and of itself is a gang onto itself with whatever it is that they do, right? But make no mistake about it, when it comes to Conor McGregor, okay, he's not out there training the FBI. And how gangster is Conor McGregor? Imagine this. Every time there's a court case that deals with Conor McGregor, all of a sudden witnesses disappear, all of a sudden witnesses develop amnesia, all of a sudden people's cars get blown up when they're about to go testify against Conor McGregor. I let you do the math on that one. Obviously, this guy is far more gangster than Nate Diaz ever will be, right? And I highly doubt Nate Diaz, you know, really lived in Stockton. He lived in the vicinity of it, right? It's like for the UK guys out there, right? It's like claiming you're from Manchester, but you really live in Wigan. Now, is Wigan Manchester? No. Is Lodi Stockton? No. That's the reality of it, and that's really what it comes down to. So, yes, that's, let's get back to Kash Patel and, you know, and why he's doing this.
UFC dudes, he wants to wrestle around with the boys and get in the hold or whatever. Maybe tap out, maybe cry uncle or daddy or something like that. So this is serious and this is happening. UFC CEO Dana White, one of Donald Trump's friends, please remember, unveiled a historic first-of-its-kind partnership, a 2-day training seminar where FBI special agents are going to be trained by UFC fighters. Now look, do special agents potentially need physical capabilities and fighting training? Yes. And that is why they've always received that already.
Right.
All right, so here's the thing about this, right? The majority of FBI agents sit behind a desk. They analyze things in a computer. They analyze terrorist financing through bank statements and also reading files and also going to the field interviewing people, which, by the way, can get messy. Yes, that is where hand-to-hand combat can come to play. But for the majority of FBI agents that really need hand-to-hand tactical training, okay, maybe they need it, but at the same time, you also got to understand they're also around guns all the time, right? So the probability of them getting into a scrap with a suspect or anything like that is low. And once again, I told you guys, 2 days is not enough, right, to train. It's not enough. It's not going to change you. It's not going to do anything. This is performative, political flexing at best, right? And also for Kash Patel to really live out his Make-A-Wish fantasy.
They already do that, just not generally from the UFC. So the plan now is for top UFC fighters, such as current interim UFC lightweight champion Justin Gaethje. I'm sure I don't watch.
Now, these guys are obviously casuals. He can't even pronounce his name correctly, right? First time that I've seen Justin Gaethje fight in the regional scenes, I said the same thing, Justin Gaethje or same thing, but obviously long into his UFC career, long into following MMA and covering MMA, I obviously now know how to say his name. This is how a casual would say it.
UFC, I'm not going to get these names right. And then other people, including one of the Gracies. I like that family. Anyway, to provide tips and advice to students. Okay, so one of the Gracie families, okay, Renzo Gracie obviously has a school out in New York, right? Now, the Gracie family in LA, okay, this Renzo Gracie guy is New York-based, but the rest of the Gracie family that lives in LA, they have been training the LAPD for a very long time. Now, look, here's the thing. What they actually do with the LAPD is far more effective than what the FBI is doing, because these guys are just going to come in there, they're going to train them for a couple of days and then leave, right? That is a seminar. Now, do UFC fighters go to seminars? Yes, they do. What do they do with these seminars? Well, they go to these seminars, they learn a few tricks, a few moves, this and that. Maybe they go and roll around with a few fighters, apply the moves, right? But after these seminars, whether it's that one day, within that 1 hour, or maybe 2 days, or, you know, a couple of hours, they take what they learn and then they continuously train in legitimate gyms, in legitimate combat sports spaces, which they are going to vastly improve, right? Hey, let me show you what I learned in the Gracie Academy seminar today. Let me show you what I learned in the Faraz Zahabi seminar today. Then they go back to their home city, their home country, or whatever part of the world they are from, and then use that and cultivate it and practice it and hopefully develop those skills. Now, with the FBI agents, the reality is this. They're going to do a 2-day session. After that 2-day session is done, what happens? Okay, they're going to go back to the office. They're going to go back to looking at computers, analyzing terroristic financing,
They're going to look at bank statements. They're going to collaborate with the IRS to take a look at what is going on with X, Y, and Z. That is the reality of FBI agents and what they do when it comes to their daily work and their daily task. Now, are there going to be some FBI agents that are going to individually go out of their way to train, train jujitsu, get on the mat, do it on a consistent basis? Yes, that is the reality of it, and that is what they are going to do. But the majority of them are going to go back to a desk just like what most of you do in your normal daily work that has nothing to do with law enforcement.
FBI agents, before they enter the field, they're also expected to share unspecified techniques and tactics that can help train federal agents. And about this partnership, Dana White said this: "I have tremendous respect for the FBI and the work they do every day to protect this country. Our UFC fighters are some of the baddest men and women on the planet, and they're heading for Quantico to train the best FBI agents in mixed martial arts. It's an incredible opportunity for our athletes to experience, and we're proud to support the FBI in strengthening their defense techniques." And Kash Patel is super excited about this. It's a historic seminar, a tremendous opportunity.
Oops. Okay, ran out of batteries on that one right there. Let me forgot to turn on the there we go. But yes, okay, so let's read some of these comments real quick. Mbop says, Usyk is scared, huh? What is he scared of? What is that in reference to, by the way, when you said that Usyk is scared? John, Brothers Limited, says, okay, support with an Israeli flag. Hate Love says, free Iran and Israeli terrorism. Okay, that's quite a statement right there. Okay, so just waiting for my computer to turn on right there. My laptop ran out of juice on that one. Okay, so we're back.
Accessibility options. Use the tab key to navigate, and press space to toggle an option.
Okay, he says, America Stan coming soon. What do you mean by America Stan? Are you saying that, that America is going to turn into a Muslim country? I mean, yeah, that's quite paranoid of you, I would assume. Okay, all right, back to this video right here.
Opportunity, blah, 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 blah. By the way, again, they already get trained in mixed martial arts. They already are trained to defend themselves. But here is the difference. Before, when that training was done, when they paid people to train them, the money, the taxpayer dollars, didn't go to Donald Trump's buddy. Now it goes to Donald Trump's buddy, and he makes some money off of it. And meanwhile, Kash Patel gets to have fun. He's gonna put on some Under Armour and work up a sweat or whatever, and he gets to have fun.
Can you imagine Kash Patel in Under Armour gear, right? How about Kash Patel in wrestling singlets? How about that? How about Kash Patel in wrestling shoes? Maybe, some headgear. Yeah, that will be a sight to see, really. You know what I mean? That would be a really funny sight to see for sure.
Personally think, Trey, this doesn't go far enough. I mean, if you really want them to be prepared for anything, they don't need to learn to, take someone down to the ground. Bring in Stone Cold Steve Austin and teach them how to do a stunner, maybe a tombstone pile driver or something. Get the WWF in here.
All right, come on now. All right, that right there probably sounds a lot more logical than them doing a 2 to 3 day session. I promise you guys, a 2 to 3 day session is not enough to really train fighters. It's really not enough, guys. It's not enough. I don't care what anybody tells you, right? It's not enough. Take it from somebody that has trained martial arts for a very long time, right? It takes a very long time to learn martial arts. It takes a very long time to be very effective at it. I would also say that you probably need, a little bit of competition to sort of understand and see, how you fare with the techniques that you've learned, right? Cole Old says, Trump or Netanyahu win in an MMA fight, pride rules. You know what? I'd probably have to go with Netanyahu on that one. He seems like, the former military guy that probably has hand-to-hand combat experience. So I think he would probably win that fight. Tao says, sup, bro, hope all is well. Great vibes to you and everyone else in here. Yeah, shout out to you, my man. Good morning to everybody. Hate Love says, Kash Patel versus Mark Zuckerberg. Mark does UFC training. Yeah, I think Mark would probably, I think he would handle Kash Patel. But then again, we never know, right? We don't know if Kash Patel actually trains on the side, right? I know a lot of guys that don't tell other people that they train, right? You know, I've met guys or seen guys in the gym that I know outside of the gym, like, you train? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, wow, okay. You know, that, man, you know, I'll bet you this guy could, you know, handle himself, you know, in some kind of like street altercation of some kind. But, you know, they just don't train. They don't tell anybody. But yes, Mark Zuckerberg obviously trains and openly competes in jiu-jitsu tournaments as well. So,
here, and I say that knowing that there is a chance that will happen. But Trey, what do you think?
Yeah, well, the whole Trump administration is already very inspired by pro wrestling to begin with. So I can't believe they haven't had like a, you know, formal partnership spring up because, yeah, it's the pro wrestling era of American politics and governance. But yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, this is my first time hearing about this, and I had the immediate thought that you already mentioned. The FBI, I never had no FBI buddies, but I've had tons of guys that have been in the military, and I had a dude from the military was with the CIA for a while and stuff like the DEI and that sort of thing. And so I know that, like you said, they get this kind of training already. I remember a friend of mine what his particular branch called essentially MMA, the GTF. I still remember that, like ground tactical fighting, like the whole.
okay, he's absolutely right about that, right? In the Marine Corps, there's a thing called Marine Corps martial arts, right? MCMAP, they call it in Marine Corps terms, right? Here's the thing about this, right? He's right. Here's the thing. I would argue that civilian MMA, civilian jiu-jitsu is far more complete, far more effective than what they teach you in the military. Why? Because here's the thing. It's not as updated as the way that they do in MMA or in jiu-jitsu. What do I mean by updated? Okay, for example, you hear Joe Rogan talk about calf kicks all the time, right? You know, the minute somebody started using the calf kicks, now all of a sudden it's this, you know, wild craze that everybody is now practicing, right? You know, the Thais have been using it for a long time, but it was in a different variation. So now there's an update to this leg kick. It's called a calf kick. The same thing with, let's say, arm triangles, right? There's multiple ways to cinch in an arm triangle. For example, Olenek, right? The Russian heavyweight. He can literally choke you, okay, from an Ezekiel choke on the bottom position. Now, I've seen this in the gym done plenty of times, right, where guys can easily choke you while they are on the bottom. This is a reality, especially if the guy has enough grip strength. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that I'm talking about the problem for the military. They're not updated on these particular techniques on a daily basis the way that, let's say, MMA or jiu-jitsu gyms. Okay, you look at Mike Musumeci, you look at Ryan Gordon, you look at John Danaher, right, the jiu-jitsu coach of George St. Pierre. They are constantly updating their data in terms of technique. But whereas in the military, it is not as highly emphasized, so they are going to be as less complete than, let's say, the civilian sector of MMA, mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and combat sports training.
Holds and that type of thing. So they get like a ton of that, which, you know, they should, but they do. So it's just enriching, you know, Trump's buddy Dana White or whatever, and helping, you know, Kash Patel gets to hang out with like the Gracies now, and that's cool to him. So that's the only reason to do it. The only like charitable sort of assessment you could make for it at all from the government side is that it would be the equivalent of like Michael Bay movies for the military and that type of thing, where it's like propaganda, but you don't need propaganda for UFC fans. Do you know what I'm saying? They're like on board. They all got like Punisher and blue line stickers on the back of their trucks already. So I don't think that's it. So,
Yeah, they
it's pretty dumb.
simultaneously have the thin blue line, and they already have the position in mind of where they're going to let the boot of the federal government be placed on them because they never actually resist it. Yeah, look, I'm not actually 1,000% against this if it doesn't cost a lot of money. If they just want to do this as a thing where, like, they know their base is going to think it's cool or whatever, and maybe some of the FBI agents will think it's...
It might cost money, okay? It might cost money because, well, are you going to get Justin Gaethje, Chris Weidman, Michael Chandler, Jorge Masvidal out of their way for free, right? Make them fly to Quantico, right? Okay, Jorge Masvidal from Miami to Quantico, that takes money. Are you also going to pay not only for his traveling, but also for his troubles of being there? Chris Weidman, New York to Quantico, not a long drive, still a certain amount of money, still gas money. Within that travels, are you also going to pay for not only his hotels, but also his troubles for being out there? Justin Gaethje is the interim champion of the world. Okay, if you're a champion and you're doing seminars, you better believe you're not doing that for free. Okay, ask anybody who's been to Floyd Mayweather's seminars overseas, whether in Dubai or Russia, which he's done plenty of. They cost a lot of money. Okay, TYR says, looking like Khabib's brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I take that as a huge compliment. Obviously, a big fan of the Dagestani MMA and Khabib and Islam and Khamzat, and obviously, yeah, the Khamzat and the Sean Strickland fight coming up. Man, that's going to be exciting. All right.
It's cool. It's a nice perk for them, like bringing in a couple of baby goats to pet or something. If it's going to be like that, that's fine. But if they're putting like $1 billion into this or something, I'm going to be very angry.
And that right there, I think, is highly improbable. I don't think that is going to be the case. I don't think they're going to spend millions on it. Maybe just, you know, at best a couple of thousand, right? Not enough to really hurt the government budget, I don't believe, right? But once again, understand that this is all nothing but performative. It is performative at best, okay? And if you don't understand that, you don't understand that it's done for performative reasons, I don't know what to tell you. You may not understand mixed martial arts or martial arts by the end of the day. So, yeah, it takes several years to really be proficient at martial arts and also having the confidence of applying your technique.
You know what TYT has always been about? Taking on the...
I'm going to show you what years of proficiency looks like right here. I'm going to show you what years of proficiency looks like. Okay? I'm going to have to turn off the music on this one because it has some music that is, well, yeah. A second here. All right. Okay, let me read some of these comments right here. At Cole, BB is a wimp. Trump will do just Elon's walrus move. Trump is bigger than BB Yahoo, so he can just sit on him. Okay. Giorgio Spin says, new subscriber, new fave, okay. Hi, is that beard real? Yes, this beard is very real, Ghost Hunter. Looking like Khabib's brother. Yes, we read that. He says, sup, bro, hope life is well. Great vibes to you and everyone else here. Let me read some of the comments from right up top, right here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that's why you always ask for his name. That's so funny. Okay. Lakehurst says, Kyrie, sir, calm down. What was that in reference to? Hate Love says, Yeah, DMT gives all people the same vision, alternative reality, so there could be something there. Okay, that's the conversation that we had about gins. Laco, speak for yourself. I'm not an alien. I have 2 passports. That's a good one. That's a good one right there. Let's see here. Booze is called gin and spirits because we drink or do drugs. It invites the demons. Also, weed. It call it the devil's salad. Huh? Okay. Laco says, I think we as people mistaken demons for aliens. Just my own thoughts. Arnell says, thank you. Arnell says, hello. What a great question. I think Bruce Lee would be okay. We talked about Bruce Lee there. AJJ says, you're back. Welcome. He said Kash Patel with the little emoji of Kash Patel there. Wyoming says, sleep paralysis demons. What is that in reference to again? He says, close, but neither. You can call me a Pakistani. It's close enough, but calling me Indian is, so wow. Okay. He says, you can't tell where I am from because I was being racist. Okay. So, Hate Love says, I thought you said sorry for the racism thing, but the spelling Muslim wrong. I think that's racist. We good. I hope you enjoy the stream. Okay. He says, my bad. Abdul Rahim says, Salam alaikum. How are you? Blessings and greetings. Ramadan Kareem. By the way, what is YNWA? Explain what that is, right? He said, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that part. Okay. That's what they were talking about when you were saying you were, sort of saying racist things here. So El-Kheer says, I have a special ability. Yes, we did read that. Republicanism says he did this through the debates and political witnesses and smarts. Kyrie, I know exactly what you are saying. I won't admit it. Okay, let's see here. In 2016 primaries at the beginning, he was, less than 3% in the polls, trailing people like Jeb Bush. Then throughout the primaries, he was able to win nomination by huge majority, beating Jeb as well. Doesn't he get training for that? Did President Trump in 2016 ever have a political career or military career? He was the first president in history to be elected without being in any of those categories. Is he a DEI hire? Okay, yeah, we talked about that as well. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, okay, 13th Ninja talking about the speaker's corner. Okay, so I'm not giving you any attention you're looking for today. I'll respond. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, Gypsy Crusader. Who is Gypsy Crusader, by the way? Let me know who that is, man. Let me know who Gypsy Crusader is. Let's see the new comments here. Do you grapple too? Yes, I also do grapple as well. Yes, I definitely do grapple as well. So, all right, man. So, okay, so, all right, man. So, I think that's about it that we have for this one right here. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the news right now. Obviously, we reacted to Kamzat, having a fight with Sean Strickland. That's going to be a fun one. Today is also fight day as well, right? We got Josh Emmett taking on Vallejos, right? Not the biggest fight in the world, but you never know, what happens with these types of fights. Of course, I am going to react. Well, I'm not going to react to those fights today. Actually, I'm not going to do a live stream on that. But what I will do is I will do a reaction afterwards, maybe today or tomorrow. But yeah, I will absolutely, keep coverage of that. So Abdul Sop says, hi, hello, what part of the world you are from, my man? Let me know what part of the world you are from. And, shout outs to everybody in the world right now that is tapped in. Let's take a look at some current event news that's going on right now. Okay, before we head out. So some current events right now. Okay, so as of March 14th, major global events are dominated by the U.S.-Iran conflict, with U.S. strikes on Iran's Karg Island energy infrastructure increasing regional tension, okay? So other key events include North Korea's missile tests, a suspected attack on a Jewish school in Amsterdam, and severe wildfires that's going on in California right now, okay? So as far as Abdul Sab says, you remember me, no, please give me a bit of some context and, you know, and a bit of some remembrance so that I can remember. So Abdu says, I do, let's be chill in this stream. Okay. So, global security and conflict that's going on, right? U.S.-Iran conflict following the Iranian attacks. U.S. has targeted the Karg Island energy hub with reports of fatalities, potential for further naval mobilization in the Strait Hormuz, and rising of gasoline prices. So there you go. We have some raising of gasoline prices going on right now. Russia and Ukraine war. A Russian strike in Kyiv region has resulted in fatalities. So more fatalities that's going on in the world. North Korea. South Korea reports that North Korea has fired approximately 10 missiles in the sea. Now the Middle East, okay, have sirens have sounded in Jerusalem following Iranian attacks. So once again, Israel is getting even more attacked right now. Okay, now U.S. national news, domestic security. The FBI is investigating a vehicle attack on the Michigan synagogue. If you guys have seen that news recently, political shift. Donald Trump is addressing international incidents and overseeing shifts in the Republican Party. So here's the thing with Donald Trump, right? When the primaries are going to come up, there's a good chance that a lot of the Republicans are going to lose their seat. And if Trump is in a government that is Democrat majority, he's a sitting duck as a president. He won't be able to do anything. So that's going to be a problem for him and his party for sure. Infrastructures and events. A computer issue caused a ground stop at D.C. area airports today. So I don't know what that is about. Maybe that has something to do with Iran. Also some regional news that's going on here in California. Wildfires. Los Angeles is battling severe wildfires with multiple fatalities leading to federal involvement. Okay, the policy behind that, Governor Newsom is pushing for enhanced drug enforcement and facing political challenges regarding infrastructure and environmental policy. Now, international news. Okay, former president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, is in intensive care with pneumonia. Okay, Europe. A Jewish school in Amsterdam was damaged in an explosion. Okay, so more damage done to Jewish people, I would assume. So let's see what else. What else is going on here? So, okay. All right, so United States policy and economy. Let's talk about that, right? DHS shutdown. A partial Department of Homeland Security shutdown continues with many TSA workers miss their first full paycheck this Friday. Okay, so all of this is going on right now, right? Legal rulings. A federal judge squashed Justice Department subpoenas for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, stalling an investigation into the Fed. Okay, so wow, domestic violence, a high series of high-profile attacks have occurred recently, including a shooting at the Old Dominion University in Virginia and a suicide attack at the synagogue in Michigan. A housing bill. The Senate passed a sweeping bipartisan housing bill aimed at affordability, though President Trump has issued separate executive orders that may complicate its implementation. All right, so some more international news right here. Cuba. The Cuban president confirmed recent secret talks with the U.S. aimed at resolving differences amid the escalation tension. So obviously they are looking to create more talks between Cuba and the United States. Abdul Saab says, I was in for the Oliveira versus Holiday stream. Oh, Holloway. You mean Holloway. Yes. Okay, I remember you now. Shout out to you, my man. All right, PI Day 2026. Google and other organizations are marking March 14th with celebrations of mathematical constant. Okay, I don't know what that means. Health guidelines. New clinical guidelines recommended that cholesterol screening begin as early as 30s to prevent heart disease. Okay. Sports. Obviously, World Baseball. Team USA advanced to the semifinals after defeating Canada 5-3. March Madness. Selection Sunday is approaching with teams like Mississippi and Nebraska making historic runs in conference tournaments. And that's it right there. That is the global news that is going on in the world today. Is there any particular news that you guys would like to talk about before I head on out of here? And shout out to everybody around the world that is tapped in. Also, let me know in the comment section below what any of these news that you guys want to talk about. Here's one thing that I will say, right? I think Trump is in serious trouble. If you're a fan of Trump, please understand, right? You know, this man is in serious trouble with his political career because, for one, he's going to lose the House and the Senate. He's going to be a sitting duck president. So I need you to understand that it's not going to look good for the Republican Party. On top of that, this war is not going to be very popular. On top of that, this war is going to cost a lot of money, cost a lot of Hate Love says, Kyrie, please read my post and tell me what you think tomorrow and post on your community page. Thank you. You know what? I'll go look right now. Okay, while we're here, I'm going to read your post right now, okay? That's what we'll do. I will go and read your post. Let's see here. Where is this post? I do not see it. Let's see here. Scheduled or archived? No. Where do I find your post, man? Yeah, where do I find your post here? Oh, community. Maybe I need to go to community. That's why. Okay, community. Let's see. Maybe this is where it's at. Okay. Okay, just still looking. He said it should be in the community most recent post. Okay, yes. Tracking right now. I'm tracking the community post right now. Hold on. Batista, are you comparing me to Batista? I get that a lot too. You know what I mean? I've been called that before, actually. You know, it's funny that you said that. Yeah, I don't know why it's not popping up. Hold on. Let me open it up on another tab here. Okay. Yeah, dude, I don't see it, or it's not popping up. I don't know why it's not popping up, or maybe it's just still loading something. He says, bro, if you can't find it, I'll post it again on the comments. Good, do it right now. Do it right now. Just post it on the stream right now. Copy and paste so I can read it for the world to see, okay? Yeah, post it right now. I'll wait. I'll wait. Knights, let me know what part of the world you are from. Are you comparing me to Batista? Are you saying I look like Batista? I've gotten that a lot before. So, yeah. And then Hate Love, yeah, go and post that stream, or I'm sorry, that comment that you mentioned.
Is seriously considering using a small contingent of U.S. forces on the ground in Iran for specific strategic purposes. Those are the new words we have for boots on the ground.
Okay, come on, hurry up, Hate Love. I'll post it on the chat right now so I can read it. Come on, hurry.
So there's no question we're putting boots on the ground. We know it. This is a disaster because we accomplished all of our objectives, well, before we even started this war, but certainly after we started. So we had knocked out all their nuclear facilities. We killed everyone in their regime. The top 49 people in their regime died, including the Ayatollah. We've knocked out most of their ballistic missiles, most of their navy. We have no objectives left. But Israel does have one objective left, which is regime change.
I see it right now. Hold on. I see it right now, my man. I see it right now. Hold on. Okay, so can't type this on the live chat. Can you ask me to explain before you got distracted? This is why we call Trump a war president. Okay, so this is what he wrote right here. Okay, based on reports covering his first term, the initial stages of the second term started in January 25. Donald Trump's approach to military action has been described as pro-war stance disguised under anti-war rhetoric, categorized by sudden escalations and use of military force to achieve foreign policy goals. Reports indicate a pattern of bypassing traditional security apparatuses to pursue swift military actions, which some analysts and critics have characterized as a war president approach. Okay, first term from 2017 to 21. Actions and strategies while campaigning as an opponent of forever wars. Trump's first term saw the escalation of conflicts and the use of decisive military forces. For example, assassination of Soleimani in 2020. Trump ordered the drone strikes that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, bringing the U.S. to the brink of a new conflict. Military strikes in present, Trump authorized strikes against the Syrian government targets and expanded the U.S. drone war in other regions. Targeting Venezuela, reports suggest a covert CIA-run initiative was put in motion during his first term to overthrow the Venezuelan leader. Disputing norms, critiques argued that he recklessly threw around U.S. power, escalating conflicts in inherited theaters. Second term, 2025 presents escalation following his return to office in 2025. The efforts indicate a faster escalation towards conflict. Okay, and then Operation Absolute Resolve. Trump ordered a military raid in Venezuela to capture President Nicolas Maduro in January 2026, following months of military buildup in the Caribbean. Expanded strikes. Reports show authorized bombing in Somalia, Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, and some analysts suggest he approved more individual strikes in 2025 than previous administrations did over 4 years. Domestic military action. Trump has threatened and developed armed forces inside the United States, including against cities managed by political opponents. Characterized this as from a war within. Underlining strategy. Maximum pressure campaigns. Similar to his first term, Trump used heavy economic sanctions combined with military threats to force regime changes or compliance, notably in Venezuela and Iran. Bypassing advice. Reports indicated Trump often sought to bypass traditional national security advisors, such as the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to act on military decisions, sometimes encouraged by loyalists offering quick, clean strike options. America First military growth. Trump pursued a massive military buildup, including the creation of the Space Force, aiming for the dream military to exert power. Critiques contended these actions often take without a clear, long strategies, were aimed at projecting strength while increasing the likelihood of other major regional conflicts. All right, and that right there is the reason why Trump is considered the war president and not necessarily the president of peace or this, that, or the other, right? There is a verse in the Quran that says they are the people who push for peace but really create mischief on earth. That is Donald Trump in a nutshell. So there it is. There it is, guys. Your anti-war president, Donald J. Trump. All right? And with that in mind, guys, that is all that I have for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And shout outs to Hate Love 007 for that information. And, you know, putting it out there for us to read in a very concise and precise manner. And very detailed matter at that. Thank you for that. And with that in mind, guys, have a good one. I'll see you at the fights. I'll see you at the next content. And I'll see you at the next live stream. I'll see you in the next videos, inshallah. He said, thank you, brother. Appreciate you taking the time to read it. Respect, brother. Of course, that right there was a very important piece of information that we needed to read. And there it is. I'll see you in the next one, guys, inshallah.